Hey, Kevin, thanks for doing this today. Now, Kevin Maher, founder of Wagging Tails Studios. Hey, give us a quick background. What is Wagging Tails Studios? What do you guys do in the video world?
Well, thank you so much, Bob, for having me on. It's been a whirlwind since we met each other last year.
Almost a year ago.
So yeah, almost a year ago. Yeah, time flies. With Wagging Tail Studios, we're a primarily a wedding photography and cinematography company. We launched the company in 2017. My wife and I did, Jessica. We met about in 2015, and I was just finishing up my radio and television practicum for Nate when Jessica and I had met. She comes from a photography and graphic design background, and one of the first things that we talked about when we were getting to know each other was how much we wanted to be our own owners. And I had a passion for storytelling, and she loved the art of it as well. And so we came up with Wagging Tail Studios, and the name actually came from our first rescue dog, Charlie, when we were sitting on our living room floor, and we were trying to think of names. And I'm looking over at Charlie. He's wagging his tail. We had just rescued him about 6 months prior, so he was only about I think he was about a year old at that point. And we he just kept on wagging his tail. I'm like, wagging tail, Wagging Tail Studios. It was something different, something unique, and it that's what really started things. And so, fast forward to today, and we've served well over 50 couples now, and things are looking brighter than ever.
Well, I know you're are dog people, but obviously I think
Yeah.
everyone can assume that you guys are dog people with Wagging Tail Studios, and and we met about a year ago today because Kat and I were actually supposed to get married last year in Mexico, but with COVID and everything, obviously that got shut down. And we decided that we wanted to keep the date as best as we could, get married. We had other plans we wanted to get going on with our lives, and we needed to find a wedding. And Kat got laid off, as many people did at the time. And so it was kind of her job really and she really took the responsibility to kind of get things put together. And we kept on talking, and we went bare bones. We went super simple. We went camping out at Abraham Lake, which is a non-restricted government site. So again, because all campsites were shut down, hotels were shut down, every option for plan B, C, and D would be our wedding got shut down because of COVID. And she found you, Wagging Tail Studios, and for the video, and we found a photographer, obviously, to do the photo side of it. And you
Yeah.
guys were awesome. And we were camping out at Abraham Lake. You guys drove out, and we did this like wedding in a day sort of thing. And which most weddings are in a day. But yeah, so that's how we met. And I just have to say, you guys were fantastic, and you were great, super accommodating, because we were changing dates last second because of weather concerns, because this was May in Alberta, which is
May a long weekend. Yeah.
May
You
language.
never
Yeah,
know what to expect.
snow is definitely a possibility, and especially out at Abraham Lake, where higher elevation, closer to the mountains. But anyways,
Yep.
so that's how we met. But it's shortly after our wedding that all of a sudden we were on Facebook, and I saw a post, and you were invited to go and work in the NHL bubble during the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. So while I've been building up our company, Wagging Tail Studios, I actually went to school to become a live sports camera operator. That was my real passion. That's why I went back to Nate. And so I had been working as a freelancer for Dome Productions, which is owned by Bell and Rogers. Uh, Not that many people know that those two actually have a partnership, but they do. I've been with them since basically the beginning of the opening of Rogers Place. And so I've been working as a TVA, which is basically TV assistant, working behind the scenes, doing a lot of the grunt work, pulling cables, setting up our mobile truck, and working with audio and video departments to make the show go on. So it's a lot of grunt work, as I mentioned, but I had the opportunity last year when the NHL was shut down, obviously last March, and all of us were like, okay, what's next, right? And the NHL was trying to figure out what they were going to do, and then they came up with a plan of the return to play, and it was going to be in two bubble cities, one for the Eastern Conference and one for the Western Conference. And this was something that's never been done before, and I wasn't even sure like if I was ever going to get a call for it, because Edmonton wasn't one of the top candidate cities to begin with. It wasn't until towards the end that Toronto and Edmonton got chosen as the two bubble cities, with Edmonton being the eventual host of the conference final games and the Stanley Cup final as well. And so I got the call, I believe it was beginning of July, and we were in the process of moving into a new house in Leduc, that we had just bought a brand new duplex. And so when I got the call, I had to talk with the wife, obviously, the boss.
Yes, you need it. So you're moving into a new house, and
yeah.
And how long were you in the bubble? Like, did you know were you going to be in there the entire time to the end?
Yeah, so we were going to be in the bubble until the Stanley Cup was going to be hoisted. So we were given a range of like, I think I got in, I believe it was like the third week of July, and ended up being in there for 69 days, which was pretty incredible to think of. We did 81 games, one game short of a full season. And but funny enough, like when I got into the bubble, we had just moved into our new duplex. I had lived in my new duplex for, I think, maybe 10 days, if that. And I'm like, sorry, honey, I'm out. But she was, obviously Jessica was a big supporter and pushed me to want to do this, because who else gets an opportunity like this in their lifetime, right, to do something so cool.
Well, like you said, like this has never been done before, and so like 69 days, like it is not a short period of time. And obviously Edmonton's a hockey town, and Alberta's a hockey province, and Canada's a hockey country, and so everyone's talking about this bubble experience and these people going in the bubble, and obviously the players are getting the majority of the hype because it's a hockey tournament. But there's how many other support people were in that bubble besides the hockey players?
I mean, that's a good question. I think from the broadcast standpoint, there was I would say probably less than 100 of us, just under 100 of us, I think there was. But the NHL obviously had all their people from their headquarters there. They set up a temporary head office at Rogers Place, and we had all the top end execs that never come to Edmonton ever, and so I think at any given time, when there was a game going on in the arena, I think there was probably a good maybe 150 200 people at tops, in that building. And most of them you didn't see at all in the broadcast, obviously, right? It was a completely empty arena, but there's a lot of people in behind the scenes that made it go on without a hitch.
And what did it feel like to be in those arenas with no fans? Because Rogers Place, when it's on a good night when the others are playing well, like it's a bumping place. It's loud. And so, what was it like just to be like, hearing the ice on the skates on the ice, every slap of the stick? Like it must have been just weird, eerie.
it was surreal. It took some time to get used to in the beginning, because you could hear everything that was happening on the bench. So there's a reason why there was a delay in the broadcast, because we actually had a specific person that was in charge of pushing a button for the profanity. And yeah, it was funny enough, it was an actual red button, so you'd press it, and making sure that a lot of it would not go to the air. But yeah, you heard everything. You heard the players calling each other on the ice, setting up plays. You'd hear coaches making line changes. You heard everything. I mean, as you were saying, when there's 18,000 screaming fans in that building, you don't hear what's really going on the ice. You don't hear the strategies. You don't hear all the bickering and the trash talking with the teams. But you heard everything. Like a lot of times, I was up on the main concourse with where the cameras were mostly located, and we could hear everything. So it made it very interesting, and one that I think it's going to feel very weird when we're allowed to have fans back in their rink again, because it's like, oh, we can't hear the players anymore, right?
You're going to be missing that element of the game that you got used to listening to. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
that's it, yeah, and so less than 100 S people or so on the broadcast side. Then obviously that you had, you guys are living in a hotel, so they're technically in the bubble. You've food services is in the bubble. Obviously, all the head office people from the hockey organizations are in the bubble. Like, who else was there with you guys? What other, like? Because again, like I remember I saw something on Facebook about a barber cutting hair one time because there wasn't a
Yeah.
barber in the bubble, but someone volunteered to come in and there's a lineup to get your hair cut. What else was going on in there? Because it's just such a weird thing that no one has really gone through before.
Yeah, and that's an excellent question. So, one thing I do want to clarify. So, all the hotel staff and some of the rink rats, I guess you could call, they were actually allowed to go home each night. Everyone was tested on a daily basis. But there was a good portion of us, obviously, that were not allowed to leave the bubble at all. So yeah, we had barbers that came in. There were food trucks we had in the plaza, or as we like to call it, the court, um, or the yard. And so yeah, we had a world renowned painter that came in at the beginning and did this beautiful mural of Rogers Place and all the team captains all in one canvas, which was really cool. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of extras like were brought in. Obviously, they had set up a simulation uh, golf, throughout the rink. So I think they had 7 or 8, golf simulators set up for the players and us. They had, yeah, I'm just trying to think. It seems like so long ago now that I think about it. But yeah, they had a barber that came in at toward I think it was in September, uh, or towards the end of August. A barber that came in that they were masked up, and players and coaches could line up. We weren't allowed as broadcasters allowed to get our haircuts. Luckily, I don't have to worry about that too much. But it was funny to see that the transformation in some of our staff, that we worked with, throughout the time. It's like, oh yeah, you probably could use a good haircut by now. So, yeah, it was interesting, and I mean, unless you've been in it, like the rest of us, like you really don't understand how isolated we actually were. And yeah, with all the fun that it was involved with, there was definitely a mental health side to it as well. That I think for players, coaches, us, it's something that was definitely an underlying uh, issue at times throughout the
Now, do you
bubble
feel that was like an
experience.
unforeseen consequence? Like, do you think it was, and like, not to put any blame or any, because again,
Yeah.
it's never been done before, but do you think that was something that was really unexpected, or did the organizers do their best to kind of address that early? Because again, um, yeah, I imagine it wasn't always just like, sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
There was obviously, again, 69 days, like you said. I'm sure sometimes it felt almost like a prison sentence. Um, and yeah, so please, like, what was it like to be stuck there for? Because again, we talked before we hit record, like some stuff kind of happened to you and the family outside of the bubble once you were in too, and you're stuck.
Yeah, as you mentioned, like none of us knew what to expect, and so the organizers did a great job in trying to offer activities for us, things that could, get us away from thinking about hockey. As much as we were all very lucky to be able to work, and the players are actually, they were being paid still pretty heavily, so I mean, they weren't complaining too much, but it was still tough to be away from our families. And speaking of which, and you just alluded to it, yeah, the opening night of the return to play, I got a phone call from my wife saying that our vehicle had been broken into downtown, literally like 2 blocks away from where I was, as she was filming a wedding for us. And she had just picked up some laundry from myself and a colleague of mine that she was going to go wash. And so our clothes were stolen, some equipment was stolen, and I felt so helpless. And this was like basically 2 weeks in, because we had about a week of setup before the games got underway. And so this was, I think it was August 1st that it happened. And yeah, it was it was very unsettling, and I felt very, in some ways, violated, that, one, we got broken into, and two, there wasn't anything I could do except for, try to, order new clothes online.
You didn't just
That
run down to the
have
merch
just,
store and just get all Oilers gear for the next
oh,
50 some days.
yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that, yes, I'm not a closet Oilers fan, but when we work our broadcast, we have to, wear all blacks. So yeah, it's very boring clothes that we have to wear sometimes. So, thank God for Amazon and for online ordering. So we were able to accept packages from outside, and so I was able to order new clothes and have it shipped to the hotel within a week of the incident. So
Now,
yeah,
when
I
this,
mean, those are the things. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was going to say, like when this first happened, when you got the news, like the call about your car being broken into, like, did you go to your managers, your bosses, and say, "Hey, like this just happened. Like, can I go help?" Or were you told no, or if you leave, you can't come back? Is that kind of the situation that you were in?
Yeah, like we knew, like going in the bubble, like once we stepped foot, like we signed papers saying, like, we agreed to certain terms, and one of the things was if you exit the bubble or compromise the bubble in any time, you're out, and you don't get to come back in. And so when this happened, obviously, it was still fairly early into the tournament. I knew that there wasn't much more I can do aside from trying to be there for my wife, trying to uh you know replace the items that were gone. And um but yeah, it definitely, affected me mentally. And you felt really helpless, like you couldn't do anything and any more than what I was able to do. So yeah, it wasn't fun, but looking back, I mean, this could have happened to anybody. And it's unfortunate it happened. And but you live and learn, I guess. I don't know what you can learn from this experience, but
Well,
by
I think
by being
it's
broken
just
into, I mean,
it's an experience, and again, just
Yeah.
sometimes the lessons and experiences aren't really learned or realized until you get to apply it the next time. Um,
Yeah.
Now, how many games a day were they? And I'm not trying to get off the mental aspect. I'm just trying to get a
Yeah.
picture, like, because again, like
For sure.
obviously, sometimes just being busy is a good way to kind of help control the demons. Like how many games a day were you guys shooting, and were you shooting every game, or were there times when you were off and not working and had free time? Like what did your schedule look like that way?
Yeah, so in the beginning, when we had all 12 teams of the Western Conference there, it was a bit of a circus, needless to say. We were doing 3 games a day. And so that was a lot for the first couple weeks. And then as teams were being eliminated, we got down to mostly 2 games a day. And then towards the end, it was 1 game a day. So there were times where we were able to step away, and because of the size of the crew we had, we were able to uh, stagger our shifts. So sometimes we wouldn't all like we we didn't all do 81 games. We would do we probably all did portions of those 81 games. um and yeah, it's a lot of work. Like if you think about the work that's our guys do, like it's and what you see on TV, there's just so much that goes into making that happen. And it's yeah, there was definitely fatigue that sat in, especially after those first 2 weeks when we were doing 3 games a day. Uh and I mean, every game was like a new game day basically, and we were doing 3 of those in one day. And so yeah, it was definitely challenging. But I think once we got past that, once we started doing 2 games a day, we're like, oh, this is a piece of cake. And then we got down to 1 game a day, is like, oh, we got so much more time to ourselves now, right? So and it was weird because at times, like, it would be like 30 above outside, and we'd go outside for a little break and enjoy the sunshine, and then we have to go back into the rink, which was like 10 degrees or colder inside. So you'd almost have to dress for like 2 different seasons, right? I'm surprised we didn't get sick just because of that, the constant temperature change that we were going through on a daily basis. But it was part of doing what we did, and we were glad to be able to offer a distraction to the viewers at home that obviously were looking for something to get their mind off of everything else that was happening in the world.
Oh, and I think it was, I think everyone enjoyed it. It was obviously it was in Edmonton. It was just, again, it was a good release escape for us, just to get away from like the lockdown and the mess and just COVID in general. Um, and so no, and again, the NHL did this, the NBA did this, like a number of leagues did this, trying to, and obviously they've got a financial interest in having players play and having people watch, which
Yeah.
is, again, that's the business, that's fine. But again, I think there really was a benefit for people to get that escape. Now you're obviously, this escape that we're getting is work that you're doing, but you still need an escape. So when you're not working a game, like, and you say that there's 7 golf simulators, and I like a golf simulator every now and then too, but at the same time, like, I can only do that so much, and then I'm looking for something else to do. Like, how else would you like? Are you like finding the longest loop to walk in the bubble so you can go out and do something? Or are you writing poetry? Like, what are you doing to kind of like take your mind off the situation and actually just like and keep a level head? Like, how else do you fill your time in that bubble?
Well, being a small business owner, I still had a business that to run from my hotel room. So I was calling the shots from my phone in my hotel room. I brought my whole editing suite in from home to my hotel room, and it allowed me to. It wasn't so much of a break, but it just changed my focus, I guess, to on my other passion, which is our business. And so trying to run things and from the hotel room was very challenging at times. I had to put out fires. We had equipment failures on wedding days, where so I was buying new equipment, having it sent to our house, and trying to deal with the invoices and booking new clients. So like for me, like there was really not a whole lot of downtime for me, and you know that I think over time compounded. I think by the time September came around, I was pretty drained, and but I knew I had to keep on going because this is what I signed up for, and no one's going to feel sorry for me, So I really wanted to make sure that I'm still as committed to my business as I was to being in the bubble and doing my responsibilities, with hockey. So yeah, I mean, there was times where I was able to just let loose and hang out with the guys. When September came around, and the temperature would drop at night, they actually brought like little fire pits out, and so we would have little mini barbecues and hang out by the campfire, in the plaza, which is kind of crazy to think about. We're in this fenced in bubble and middle of downtown, and we're just barbecuing smokies on over the fire, and we're just looking around, and it's just all office towers, right? Like we're in a concrete jungle here, basically, right? So yeah, it was definitely interesting, but
Would you ever have people
trying
outside the
it.
bubble come to the fence and yell and talk to you guys through the fence, or
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, a few times when we had some of those windstorms in the summer, the fencing actually broke down, and so there was security there that was obviously trying to keep things intact. But there was a few times where unfortunately, we had some out outsiders that tried to come in that had to get redirected, I guess is the best way of putting it. um,
I never heard that.
and
Really, that's crazy.
yeah, we a few times, like we're not too about a block away from one of the homeless shelters. So there was definitely times where we would get yelled at, or and then there was obviously the media. They were filming us in the beginning, and it seemed kind of weird. They're filming us through a fence. Like we really felt like at sometimes caged animals at a zoo, right? It's like don't get too close to the fence. We
Don't
had to
feed the
keep our 6
animals.
feet. Yeah, don't feed animals, exactly, right? um so yeah, it was very unique and different, one that I'm glad I did experience, but it's hard to say if I would do it again, because it definitely took a toll on me mentally, and obviously on our family. I mean, obviously I was very grateful for the opportunity, because a lot of people um lost their jobs, and I was able to still do what I did. So I didn't take that for granted at all, and I realized it could have easily been a very different situation. But you know there were still definitely aspects to it that don't get talked about a whole lot, that hey, you know yes, we were grateful to be there, but it wasn't easy either. And we're not looking for pity or sympathy or anything like that, but mental health plays a big part.
Well, and the grass is always greener too. And
Yeah,
it just for the example of someone who didn't have to, that wasn't laid off, that wasn't at home during this pandemic. Obviously, you're working, you're making money, so there's some security there, so there's some comfort there. But then
yeah,
there's people that were laid off and that had honestly had fantastic summers traveling and camping and doing things and all this time with their family that they never would have gotten normally because they would have been out working.
yeah,
And maybe someone's working and looking at that person going, oh man, like look at that lucky person, gets to spend all this time at home. But you still don't realize the financial strain that person's under because they aren't making an income right now, and so maybe they are able to still travel, but
yeah.
again, there is that concern of of money and funds that you or someone who is working isn't really under stress that way. So um
Yeah, and I know this is gonna sound a little cliche, but money isn't everything. Yes, I was very lucky to have given this opportunity, and but it was still like there's more to life than just making money. And being away from the family was tough. My wife was holding down the fort here, trying to get our new life set up, in a brand new city for us. We don't have kids yet, but she's got a full-time job. We got two dogs that are very high energy, needed their walks. We don't have a backyard right now still. We're still waiting for landscaping. So, and then also trying to, help run the business too. So, I mean, yeah, there was, I don't know how military couples do it. Like, I have so much more respect for what they do when they go on these long tours for months at a time. I know we couldn't do it. And I just, like I said, I got so much more respect for what they do, to help keep us all safe.
Well, and I'm sure too, there's probably times your wife's at home, like you say, getting the house unpacked and, taking care of the dogs and the business and working. And she's probably thinking that all you're doing is sitting outside a bonfire in a parking lot, having a drink and smoking a cigar. And she's not,
Yeah.
but she doesn't realize the stress that you're under in that same situation. And so, yeah, I guess I could,
Yeah.
I can't imagine, but I could totally see how there would be that disconnect. And like, were you ever like, basically counting down the days to get out? Like,
Yeah, I mean, definitely towards the end, once we got to the Stanley Cup final, uh, I think, I was excited to have reached this far, but at the same point, I was like, I just want to get home. I want to get home to be with my family again.
yeah,
And at that point I had spent more time in a hotel room than I had in my brand new house I was paying for a mortgage for. And so, yeah, I miss being home. And I'm glad you mentioned, just like not understanding like the challenges that we were both going through, because there were times where, yeah, like we really didn't understand what the other person was going through. And I think at times we had to put each other in each other's shoes to really, see the challenges that came with that. And I mean, looking back, I still don't know exactly what she went through, and she didn't know what I went through, and that's okay. I don't expect her to understand, and I'm sure she doesn't expect me to understand what she went through. So, um, it definitely made our relationship stronger, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm hoping that we don't have to do too many more of these bubbles
well, and
moving forward. Because yeah, you really value your time at home and your loved ones even more when you are away.
and again, it's the challenges in life that they give us strength, they give us confidence, they teach us how to do
Yeah,
stuff. And really, you don't get, there's really very little benefit from things being easy. You get the minor reward of a trophy or a pat in the back, but really, how much, again, people say all the time, and I believe too, like you learn more from your losses and from your challenges and you from your victories.
absolutely.
And so, yeah, for you and your wife and your relationship, if that made it better, like this struggle to go through, then that's fantastic. That's a great outcome from this thing. Um, and but you said this a few times, and we don't need to leave the NHL bubble right now. But you did this two more times. You went into two more bubbles after the NHL bubble, so there was something about it. Like, so you did the World Juniors as well, and
Yeah, I
and
did the World Juniors over the Christmas holidays. Yep.
and then you did the Scotties. And
Yeah.
so how long were those bubbles? Those must have been much shorter bubbles.
Yeah. So the World Juniors was, I believe, 24 days. That one was really tough. Maybe even more so than the NHL bubble, because it was our first Christmas that we were going to be apart from each other. We had, like I said, brand new house that we just bought together. And Jessica had lost her dad earlier that year as well. And so, and with the restrictions, like she wasn't allowed to have anybody over. So she spent Christmas on her own
Oh wow.
with her dogs. And I worked on Christmas Day. We had, games on Christmas Day. And so Christmas felt very different this year. And again, very grateful for the opportunity to work. But, I will say this and I'll say it again, there's nothing that comes close to being with your family on a holiday or just any time of the year. You really appreciate the time you spend with each other. And yeah, that one was different. I had some fun with my hotel room. I decked it out in Christmas lights and made it my own little North Pole. But yeah, that one, I'm glad that it was short lived, because it was definitely tough to be away from my family on Christmas. And then with the Scotties, I was really not expecting to do that. I got the call in January, and yeah, I was expecting to continue working the hockey season that had just started up in January, and got the call. I'm like, okay, I was like, but I told my wife, I was like, this is probably going to be the last time I'm going to do the bubble experience. We were going to be down in Calgary this time, so I was only down there for a couple weeks, but I had more time to think about life, when I was down there in Calgary. And I think, I'm glad I had all these experiences, and it taught me a lot about myself and what I really value in life. And I've taken the rest of this hockey season off now, to just focus on my family. And I have no regrets about that. And I think, that's okay. I'm giving the opportunities to some others to be able to get some work in that might have not had that chance before. And I've been pretty fortunate this past year. So I'm okay to stay home and focus on my business, and be with my wife and our dogs, and just being a normal person, and being a homeowner now, and doing all the fun stuff that comes with that.
I know, and that's awesome. And like, so when you do these bubbles, like the ones you did, was it generally the same crew of I guess like the broadcast team that you were with on
Yeah.
all three bubbles?
There was a few of us that have done all of them, but because of the the different networks, like, so when we did the NHL Return to Play, that's Sportsnet and CBC, um, and then when we did the World Juniors, that's a TSN broadcast. So um, with the World Juniors, like, they typically have the same crew that work year in and year out, and they travel around the world, when the juniors are being hosted overseas. So there there were some guys that were the same, but there was a lot of different people as well. So it was interesting to see some of the new people go through the bubble experiences, and kind of help them out, because we were getting daily testings, and our temperature checked twice a day. And there was definitely every day kind of felt like Groundhog Day in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. And for some people, like, it took a lot out of them. And I'm glad that I was able to offer any assistance or any suggestions on how to navigate through those bubbles, because it's for anyone that has never done it before. It's not like going away on a typical business trip. When you're in these bubbles, you're not allowed to go anywhere else except for your hotel and the venue you're working. You take when we were in Calgary, like, our hotel wasn't even by the venue, so we got bussed in and bussed out, each day. And you weren't able to go anywhere else, like you would normally do on a business trip, and maybe go to the local pub, or just go for a walk in the neighborhood. Couldn't do any of that. So that's what made it different for these bubbles, even for some of these crew that had been doing these events for decades. Some of them have. This was new for them, because they've you're really isolated to what you can do.
And so, with like the OG veterans that like yourself that started this thing, would you guys sit back and watch the rookies kind of fumble their way through figuring out how to survive in this bubble? And just was it was it clicky like that? Like again, like do all like you and your guys, you guys all have like matching tattoos, or like you went through this, or is it? There has to be some sort of
Well, this
brother
isn't.
camaraderie that for you guys that did this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe there was any matching tattoos that I know of. At least I don't have any. I've got a few cool swag that I can look back on and enjoy. But yeah, I think there was a few of us that, like I said, experienced all of the bubbles, and I've actually got a colleague of mine who's now he's been in the bubbles the longest of any other person in Canada.
Oh, really?
And and his daughter actually is a photographer with our company. And so I don't know how he does it, but he's been doing this for a very long time. This is his livelihood. He doesn't do anything else. So, I told him, I was like, when I left, I was like, kudos to you for, sticking this out. I was like, and he's done like the Olympics and world international events. And, you know, for this bubble, like it's very different compared to even like the Olympics. And I haven't done the Olympics myself, but from people I've spoken to, it's certainly one of those things where you can definitely put on your mantle and say I've survived the bubbles, right? Because it is nothing like it from anything you've experienced, just because of the uniqueness of the experience.
And I feel like I've said this already, but yeah, I really can't imagine what it would be like, but I can just imagine that it would just be different, and just almost on every visceral level, just it would just have to be different. Um, and I'm just sorry thinking about this. Actually, one thing I never asked you about, but like, what about interaction with the players? Like, were you guys like, high fiving Sidney Crosby walking down the aisles, or were they very separate from you guys still? Or was it a chance for you guys to interact and hang out with them as regular people around the fire pit at night?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we try to keep our distance from the players. Respect their privacy, and they don't need us to be bombarding them with questions or anything like that. But we were all living in the same shared spaces as well, right? Quite often I'd be sharing the elevator with players. I mean, I don't know one situation where the evening that the Arizona Coyotes got eliminated from the playoffs, I was sitting down at the bar at the Sun Place, and they were all up partying it up. It didn't even seem like they knew that they just got eliminated. They were just having a great time, and one of the players came up to the bar with me, and we actually had a long chat for about a half hour about life.
Oh, really?
And and it was great. And we wouldn't normally have that experience if it wasn't for this bubble. So yeah, there were opportunities where we were rubbing shoulders with them, waiting in the line for our free Timmy's. There was a Timmy's truck in the bubble, and that we got free coffee and donuts and ice caps. So I mean, there was definitely perks to this, but yeah, I mean, we all had to go through the same experience for the most part, right? Obviously, we all played a different role in the team to make this all work. Some of us actually played the game, some of us broadcasted the game, right? But in the end, like, we all had to get tested. We all had to confine to the same rules of the bubble. And so yeah, in the beginning, when there was like 12 teams there, like the place was hopping, like backstage, where all the locker rooms were. I mean, seeing 12 different teams was just unreal. Like, it was just, every time you turn your head, there was like different players, talking with other players from other teams, trainers and equipment managers talking with each other, all working together to help like, we're all in this together, really. And I know that sounds very cheesy to say that, but it was such a unique situation where everyone, had never gone through this before. And so everyone was just kind of learning as we went along. And I think, we can all, like I said before, look back and, put that on our mantle and say, we've survived the bubble. But yeah, I think we're also all looking forward to getting back to, having fans in the stands and normal games. And yeah, it's going to be very strange when that happens, but I think it's going to be a pleasant reminder of what life used to be like.
Well, and again, I think that this is just gonna it's an asterisk on the story of your life and all these players, all these people's lives
Yeah.
that you're all gonna have in common. And in my opinion, you should be able to probably bump into some NHL player down the road, just randomly. Hey, I worked with you in the bubble at Edmonton in 2020, and
Yeah.
you're instantly gonna have this, and you know, it's just something that you're gonna have in common with these people and everyone in together. And I just think it's an interesting, yes, it's a badge of honor you've
It
all
is.
earned. And again, like I don't think it must have been difficult too for the players because again they're away from their families. Again, you're in more of a fishbowl than even ever before because again it's just so much
Yeah.
heightened and enhanced. Um, and like when you think of whenever you see a retired professional athlete interviewed and they're always asked like what do you miss about the game, I would say 100% of the time the answer is the locker room. Like they don't
Yeah.
they miss the game, they miss playing, they probably don't miss practice too much, but it's always the locker room. It's that camaraderie amongst team members because you've got this this goal you're going for, this vision you're driving for, and you win and you lose as a team, and it's this experience. But again, it's the time between plays, it's the time between games, it's the horsing around, it's the joking, and for those of us that have played sports or been in any sort of like team or group activity, like we've had that type of experience. And I just
Yeah.
see that like on steroids. That's a bad example of being a sports analogy, but I just see that
Yeah.
it's
I,
that
I I get
locker
what
room.
you're saying though.
Yeah, it's that locker room example. Just it's amplified, and and again, how many people have this experience that you've had? And now I haven't asked about shenanigans yet, but there again, again, Scotties, World Juniors, NHL. You talked about some homeless people trying to break in when a fence broke down, but like there had to have been some people trying to escape, sneak out, or sneak people in. Like there's some random parties. There has to be some stories from the bubble that we don't want to get anyone in trouble, but there has to be something that went
Yeah.
on.
Well, yeah, like you said, I won't say any names, but let's just say that some of the players got extra friendly with some of the waitresses at a couple of the bars, and they got caught maybe with their pants down. And yeah, so yeah, that was interesting. When we actually got moved over to the JW, which was it's a pretty nice hotel actually. I never thought I'd be able to stay at the JW because I just can't afford it. But the floor that we were on, actually we had a pipe burst and flooded the whole floor, and it ended up turning into a complete sauna.
Oh, jeez.
um yeah. And I think we were on I think we were actually on floor number 7 when this happened. And yeah, it was pipe burst. Whole floor turned into a sauna. We had, luckily by that time, they had empty floors, because each floor would be designated basically to a different team, or for the broadcasters. We were always moved in the same groups basically. um and so they had a floor open for us, so we had to actually, on our, I think we actually had a game that day later on in the day, so we ended up having to move everything to a new floor. And yeah, I've got some pretty interesting photos and video from that experience. Wasn't expecting have to deal with a flood in a brand new hotel, but that was again another situation where um things just happen and you just kind of gotta go with it, right? Just roll with it. So Yeah, so some of the shenanigans, I'm just trying to think what else. I know the night of the Stanley Cup, when it was hoisted, I was pretty drained, and I was like, I went right back to my hotel room, and I was like, I'm out. Maybe because I'm old, I don't know. I'm only 36 people, so but I feel like I'm 56 some days. But so I went back to my hotel room. Little did I know, I found out the next day that that night, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who had just won the cup, had invited a bunch of my colleagues up to party with them at the JW, and they partied all night long. Some of my friends got pictures with them holding the Stanley Cup. Like these are things that would have never had happened in a normal, night of celebration. But because of the uniqueness, of it, the Lightning couldn't go anywhere outside the bubble,
Yeah.
after they just won the cup. So they're hanging out in the banquet rooms and partying it up. And I, one of my buddies got his picture with Steven Stamkos, hoisting the Stanley Cup. And I mean, now I'm having a little FOMO over that. I'm like, damn, why was I so tired that night? I should have just stayed up. And
It was one more night, one
but
last night.
yeah, one more night. Like, but you know what? It is what it is, and I'm glad they had a great time. So yeah, I mean, that was just an example of just how unique this whole experience was. I was very fortunate to have been able to go into the Tampa Bay locker room right after they had won the Stanley Cup, um, because I had to fix one of our cameras, and I was in the room while they're getting the whole dressing room basically tarped up and ready for the celebration, and I'm thinking like this is the kid in me, like this is freaking cool. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I'm never gonna experience this again, probably. I never thought that I'd be able to witness the Stanley Cup being hoisted by the Tampa Bay Lightning, uh
In Edmonton.
in Edmonton, when the Oilers weren't even the opposing team. Like it was so unique and surreal. And when I went in out in the rink and they were doing their whole celebration, like it was so eerie that they just won the Stanley Cup and there's like no fans. Like you heard everything, like they had pyro and everything, but it's like there's something about this that just seems wrong.
Well, and they're
But you
skating
know
around the
what?
rink holding the cup up like they normally do, and usually it's in front of like some of their home fans, but the seats are empty, and it just
Yeah, it was all for TV basically, and yeah, it was weird, and I'll never forget that I got to witness the cup being hoisted, but um, the Oilers weren't even in the final, so like never thought that would ever happen, but you know that's 2020 for you.
No, that's crazy, man. So yeah, again, NHL bubble, the World Juniors bubble. You did the Scotties down in Calgary. I think it's just an amazing
Yeah.
experience you've had with this. And then um, I guess also like with you talk about the Wagging Tails Studios, but we were talking again before you record. You've actually started a new experience, a new company as well, an offshoot.
Yeah.
And what is that company?
So it's Rolston Films and Photo. Rolston is named after the cul-de-sac that we moved to here in Leduc. And so I launched this company last month to help serve more couples. So with Wagging Tails Studios, it's our boutique brand. So we do about 15 to 20 weddings a year, which, you think about that, that's a lot of weddings.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of work. But we were also getting a lot of inquiries in for dates that we were already booked for. And being in Edmonton, you only have so many weekends you can actually, work. And so, I wanted to find a way to be able to serve more couples. And so I launched Rolston Films and Photo for my associates to go out and film and photograph these weddings. And my wife and I would edit them. So we have a little more flexibility when it comes to the editing side at home. So this way, we can help out more couples. Um, I get more work on my plate, which I mean, I love being busy, and I'm 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 glutton for punishment, I guess. Uh, I just love being busy, and I love uh, being able to mentor associates too. Like I come from a hotel background. I was a previous hotel manager that I went to school for in my previous career. And so I'm able to take some of those skills I learned there and apply them here and mentor and teach some of these up and coming photographers and filmmakers that are learning the ropes, and we're able to, like I said, help more couples out. So it's a lot more work on my plate now, but I love it. And I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
No, that's awesome. And so is it strictly just wedding video and photo that you guys do, or is there other video marketing stuff that you guys do as well?
Yeah, no, we do definitely do some corporate work as well. I've done a lot of promotional work for various companies, including the Westin Hotel downtown, SPCA, Park Memorial, just to name a few. So, yeah, you know what? Weddings are great, and that's our bread and butter. But I'm all about storytelling and helping using the platform of video marketing to be able to really give these companies a boost when it comes to getting their message out there and what they stand for. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, a lot of fun experimenting when it comes to working with these companies and being able to tell their story through our way of storytelling, which is really getting down to the nitty gritty of what makes them unique, what makes their story so different. Kind of like your story with Kat, right? When uh, I d- I did your guys' wedding film, I really wanted to get down to what makes this story so unique and special, right? And so I'm able to apply a lot of those skills to my corporate marketing as well. And so that's been a lot of fun. I'm hoping to expand that even further. So if there's anybody out there that is looking for some video marketing, please feel free to hit me up and say hi. I'd love to chat and see what we can come up with.
Well, and no, and yeah, I'm
Selfless
glad you.
plug there. Selfless plug.
Hey, no, and like, and part of the reason why I wanted to have you on, like, obviously, like, again, Kat and I had a fantastic experience working with you for our wedding, and again, the videos that you created were phenomenal. We cherish them. You had this amazing story about this whole bubble experience again in three different bubbles in less than a year, which again is just I think an amazing, interesting story. But also too, like on the marketing side and the business side, again, I work in the dental industry and I work with dental offices, and
Yeah.
dental offices are trying to stand out, trying to be different, trying to attract new patients, trying to retain current patients. And there's a lot, and not to go into too much detail right now, but like there's a lot of challenges in this industry, but also other industries. And I think, video is just so important. And again, look at YouTube, look at TikTok, look at these video
Yeah.
specific platforms that are just taking off. And you know and it shows just another side, or it shows a real side as to who you are as a person, as a business. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that if again, and just information for you, but people that listen to this know this. You go to almost any dentist website, I guarantee you it's majority stock photos
Yeah.
of fake families and fake patients. Very, very few dentists have, and I commend the ones that do, that really truly feature their dental team, the doctor,
Yeah.
the doctor's family and story, and their patients, their actual real patient story. Because again, it's real. And again, I think incorporating video into websites and into social media marketing for dental offices is just there's a cost to it, but there's a cost to everything. But also, I think
Yeah.
what you get with video as opposed to photos, and especially over stock production, is just
Yeah.
so much better. And yeah, I think if anyone is interested and wants to reach out to you, we'll definitely include your contact here in the show notes, your email, your socials. Real quick, where can people find you online?
So you can find us at waggingtailsstudios.ca. That's our main website. We're on Facebook, Wagging Tails Studios, Instagram. We are on YouTube as well, Wagging Tails Studios, and then also Rolston Films and Photo. I'm just starting to slowly launch that as well. But yeah, I'm pretty quick at getting back to any inquiries. So thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, this has been a blast. Yeah, like real quick, like anything else that we want to touch on that we haven't discussed, or is that kind of we've covered a lot?
We have covered a lot. No, thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, this last year has been such a whirlwind. I never knew what my life could be like this last year. These bubbles were certainly a very surreal experience that I'm proud to have been part of, and I can look back with great pride. And I think looking back at it all as well, I think you really appreciate smaller things in life as well. That's one thing this last year has really shown to me as well, is how valuable time is, and the time that we have with our loved ones. And losing my father-in-law just over a year ago was tough, on our family. And not being able to be close with my own family, my dad, my sister, and my mom, and has been challenging this last year. So I think we're all in this for connection. I think you look at video marketing, it's all about connection. We're connecting people with people. We're in the people industry. Everything we do is really about people. And I think there are so many factors when it comes to dealing with people, and the fact that everyone is going through something different. We don't know what the next person is going through unless we ask. And there's so many different perspectives on the same situation. Like what I went through with the bubble experience is going to be different than what my colleagues went through with the same experience, same as a hockey player, right? When it comes to Wagging Tails Studios, what I went through, running the business from my hotel room is very different from what my wife had to go through being on the front lines and doing that. So I think, we need a lot more compassion in understanding what others are going through. And I think, if we did that, I think the world would be a much better place.
No, I agree 100%. I think just listening to you talk stuff, I was like perspective. It was the one where just kind of kept coming to mind, is just like the perspective that you have from this experience, the perspective that people don't have because they weren't in it. Trying to take other people's perspective into mind, and again, and this could snowball into a huge political, geopolitical conversation,
Yeah.
which we won't do. But yeah, it's just perspective. And again, I think you have just a really cool perspective on it. And again, I just wanted to kind of share the story. I think it was just kind of really, really neat. Hey, first of all, again, thanks for doing this. All the best to you and Jessica. Again, obviously, sorry
Thank you so
for the
much.
loss of her father. That is tragic and sad, and it's just just unfortunate that it happened at this time. Um, but again, thanks for doing this. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, again, I'll include all the contact information. So again, if anyone's interested and wants to get a hold of Kevin, please do. Information is down in the bio here in the show notes. And we'll catch up soon. We'll have to hopefully get together, have a real campfire in the backyard, and have a beer.
Absolutely. I would love that.
All right, man.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Hey, have a great day. Okay. Bye for now.